there, fellow humans, and welcome to this video. And today I want to talk about these Soviet invasion containers, unfortunately, because they are in the shop. Now, the drop chance is 10%, with a default price of €5, which means on average you get a tank for every €50 spent, which isn't worth it, obviously, because none of these tanks is probably even worth €30, and you do get boosters on top, so you kind of get a bit of equalization there, but in the end you don't. So let's have a look at these tanks, which ones are good, which ones are worth considering if they're in the shop as regular, and which ones aren't. The Object 907 isn't worth considering, because why would you get this when you can get either an E50M, which has better armor, or a Leopard, which is better, or any other tier 10 medium tank, like an STB, like an FE4202, that are just better. Then the 260, well, same story here. It does have decent DPM. It's not as horrible as the 111.5A, but it's a heavy tank. It doesn't really do heavy tank much, and the E50M has better armor than it. The IS-7 is a better tank than this vehicle, certainly. The IS-4 is as well, and it also does lack the gun depression to be useful as a heavium or like a Chieftain or like a Super Conqueror. There's no point getting this tank whatsoever. T282 medium is quite an interesting tank. You know, it's very good at brawling and stuff like that. It also has more DPM than an IS-7, has better armor than an IS-7. I mean, it's not quite as mobile, but obviously if you want mobility, you go for the Leo. And this tank can be worth it if it's in the shop for about 20k gold. If you like this kind of tank, it does lack gun depression though. Now, K91, pretty good tank. It's a tier 9 though, so I wouldn't pay. I think it was in the shop for like €16 once upon a time. So yeah, just keep that in mind. IS-2SH is crap. Same goes for the IS-6. The KB5, they buffed it. I mean, it's super heavy. It has insane amounts of armor. But obviously you can get it for around 5-6k. And if you like super heavies, if you like heavies, I mean, it's not that slow. So this thing can definitely be worth it if you like tanks like that. IC-130, trash. T-54 Mod 1 used to be great, but now trash. Same goes for the T-44-100, now absolute trash. 2FTU used to be a good tank, still is a decent tank. But to be honest, I'd rather get the KB5 nowadays because, you know, it's bigger. It has a bit bigger gun. But in terms of the armor, I don't know. It's also cheaper most of the time, so I wouldn't really get this thing anymore. Except for if you want good Russian heavies, then this is your game. You know, inaccurate, no gun depression, okay mobility, and okay armor. So that's basically how these work. Then we go to the STG, and we're going to immediately skip the STG because it is garbage. Same with the LT-432, really. I mean, the T-54 lightweight is better than everyone that spent 15k gold on this thing. But yeah, there's no point in buying this thing because, like, it's the T-54 lightweight again, and also probably worse. The SU-130 PM is a pretty good tank. It's not as good as the Scorpion though, but still, it is a quite decent tank. And if you like paper tank destroyers, this can be a very, very good choice for you. Then the T-2020, I mean, you know, it's not bad, but it's not 2FTU, so there's no point talking about that. So, now, first tank they're going to play is the T-22 medium, because it is fairly interesting. Now, obviously, why would you buy a bad tank destroyer, a bad light tank, a bad medium tank, or a bad heavy tank as a premium when most of you aren't going to buy a lot of premiums? You know, why would you buy the bad ones when you should just be buying the good ones, right? So there is absolutely no point in doing that. Obviously, if you're a whale and you buy like 50 premium tanks, then it doesn't really matter which ones you buy, because you're gonna buy most of them anyway. But if you're not buying a lot of them, you know, you have to get the good ones, and there are very few that are good tanks for a good value, because this is wargaming. So T-62A, how does it feel? And I don't really know why there is an IS-7 here, but let's load the heat and deal with that anyway. Okay, now, side of the IS-7, you don't want to shoot heat at that, because obviously it has spaced armor, it has tracks, so you can't pen that. We're just not going to pen it as well. But yeah, the hull does not go down very far, so you want to shoot quite high on the IS-7 to be able to pen him. You know, that red piece, that basically is still pennable, kind of. But yeah, now, T-22 medium, it's a very great tank for brawling. And it's not really that good for like hold-down and stuff like that because, you know, it doesn't have the gun depression to do that. But overall, it is a very good tank, and if you put it in a situation like this, you know, then yeah, you're gonna do quite well. And there's a Jaeger there that I'd like to kill, and it's pushing for some reason. But yeah, that should be quite easy. Now, obviously, in a position like this, you're completely untouchable, and I wouldn't matter what tank I'm in really, because it only depends on what DPM I have to make use of this position. There's an E75 pushing me, but I don't care. So let's go for this guy. Should be quite easy snag. Now that's, I should care about that, but I still don't. So have enough HP to make it work. So here we go. He's the only one left alive. I have 3,400 damage, and I can't complain. Obviously, hit points are there to be used, so if you have them left, then you can use them, right? And the 57 is gonna YOLO me, isn't he? No, he's not. That would have been funny if he just YOLO'd me, but here we are. Now, as you can see, this is how this tank works. You know, just stay at a distance, let your team die, and just do damage. Basically, I mean, it sounds a bit dick-ish, but that's kind of how it is, I guess. Because obviously, if you want to do a lot of damage, you have to avoid getting shot at. And in a position like that, in a tank like this, that is very well possible, and that is very, very doable. So the tanks, no. I mean, those boxes aren't actually too bad. So if you fill them up, sure, but don't waste them on trash then after, you know. Then what we're also gonna do is we're gonna play the KB5 because it is quite an interesting tank. Though now they did buff it, so it has quite a lot of armor now, and it's not that slow. Now I'm not a big fan of it, obviously, but let's have a look anyway. Now, going back to the T22 though, hits in the shot for 20k gold. It is a very good tank, and it is definitely worth it, right there. And what's also worth it is liking and subscribing, and also becoming a member. Join buttons down there. So, they don't have camo, that's not good. And the Vickers does not have a brain either. That is very sad. Because the Vickers is basically a tier 9.5 tank, so I'd like to have that one work. But anyway, that is very, very sad. Yeah, just go die. Anyway, let's now have to take this position here. On this map, what you want to do is you want to take over this position. The problem is the enemy gets this position basically for free, just like that. So it is really not that great of a map, because it's quite one-sided. But you have to try to take that position because it is the most important one on the map. And when you have 3 people not participating in the important part of the battle, it's just not very nice. But I hope that these TVPs are going to be swiftly dealt with, because they have to shoot premium ammo to pen me. I don't. I have to shoot premium ammo to pen them. Yeah, now. No, it's currently 4 versus 7 because we have 3 not very intelligent people. So that is quite sad. But we're gonna stay on this rock and try to play it. Try to side scrape with this vehicle as well. And there is a camping something, probably the Progetto. Most likely the Progetto. With that kind of alpha damage. Yes, exactly. There we go. I used the wrong repair kit. Damn it. Okay, now he can probably pen me. I mean, the Emerald has a pretty good gun, well, in terms of damage and penetration, not in terms of DPM, because it doesn't have any. But yeah, the Progetto is dead, and now those guys are actually finally being useful, because I mean, what the enemy should have done here, they should have just pushed us, you know, no regard for anything, just push, because they have 7 versus 4, and they just run over us, basically, because we obviously have 3 people that are not participating. But what they did is they just kept waiting in the same position, didn't do anything, and now they allowed the 3 people over there to move around and somehow be useful again. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also be useful, because this thing has almost 2,000 hit points. It has very good armor. I hope they just get pushed. So, it has very good armor, so let's use that to our advantage, obviously. Try to get some damage on that Emil. He's not even shooting at me. Look at that. Like, this tank is wonderful in terms of the armor. So if it's a shop for a good price, I'm not a fan of it, but I can definitely recommend it. Now, Borisig HE. When your tank can be one-shot by at least 7, then you might not have armor. Smash it. But, yeah. I don't know, these two guys are still on full HP, but I guess there is worse players in the world. And that is it. 7-0. Not too bad. The enemy team completely bottled that. Yeah. There's the KV5. So, if you like super heavies, this can be a very good choice. Obviously, the crates are bad. You know, if you buy the crates, that is just stupid. So don't do that. But do leave a like. And with that said, thanks for watching. See you for the next one. Goodbye.